What is going on, everybody? I am Dadbod. Tonight we are talking about 2021 Strawberry Jam Collab. For those of you who kind of paid attention over the last year, the Celeste modding scene has been blowing up, to say the least. We came out with, and we actually started a year ago, actually a little bit more than a year ago, on the 2020 Spring Collab. And for those of you who have played it, I mean, the reception was huge. Obviously, a ton of work went into it, and we had to learn a lot as we went. So I'm really excited this time around to announce this, go over some of the details, because applications are about to be open, and we will hope you join us. So let's dig into the specifics. All right, before you go digging through the description to find all of the links, I urge you, please just chill for a second, watch this video because it covers all the things that you need to know. So let's go. All right, for those of you who are familiar with the 2020 Spring Community Collab, a lot of that stuff is going to stay the same, though we're revamping a ton of things just based on the community polls that we did, and I think you're going to see a lot of good changes for the better. For the way that we organize everything, a lot of that is staying the same. For those of you who participated in the last one, all of the roles are going to kind of be the same. For those of you who are new to this, everything is divided into teams. We have our captain team, we've got our mapping team, we have our art team, coding team, music team, deco team, playtest team. You can be in any of those teams that you want. Applications are open for all of those. Keep in mind, all of those applications are reviewed at different points in time. The very first and most important thing that we are looking for right now is asset creators. So if you are a musician, if you are an artist, we are looking for those people first because there's just a lot of work that needs to get done with that. And we are starting to contact those people first and foremost. Playtesters will be next, as well as captains in leadership, coding, and then mapping will be the last, though all that's coming very, very soon. All right, also a couple prerequisites. You have to have Celeste. It's kind of important. Although, if you're a musician and you're specifically here just to make music, you probably don't, but you should be familiar at least with how the game works. For everyone else, you need to have Celeste, obviously. You need to have Ahorn installed, ready to go with all of the dependencies that you're going to need to get going. If you do not have Ahorn installed already, on my channel there are a ton of tutorials for installing Ahorn and how to use Ahorn. You have a very limited amount of time. If you are a brand new mapper, that is totally okay. We have people in place to help out with that, but you got to be willing to work. That is one of the most important things, if I could say just anything about it. Another prerequisite is you have to have a Discord account. And the reason is because everything that we do is out of the Discord. All of our playtesting, live streams, all communication is done through that. For all the playtesters, you need to have a Google account, as everything is working out of the Google Drive. Just for organizational purposes, that is the best way to do it. All right, so as I said, applications for teams are already open. They are linked in the description below. Once again, just watch this video really quick so you can get an idea to see if it's something that you are interested in doing. Now, you can apply for as many of them as you want. Applying for them doesn't guarantee that you get it, but it definitely gets your name in the hat. So the first team that we are going to talk about is the captain team. Captain teams are in charge of, they're the general leadership team. They're in charge of making decisions for the overall health of the collab. They're in charge of different groups of people, and in some cases, large groups of people. You may have for example, mapping. We have beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, and grandmaster. There will most likely be multiple captains for each level of difficulty, and depending on the volume of mappers that we get, that number will change and will get added later on. So we're kind of leaving that open for the time being. So the mapping team is going to play obviously one of the biggest roles in this because, well, that's where all of the content comes from, all the gameplay. And a lot of the stuff that we did in 2020 is going to carry over into 2021. Mainly the lobbies are going to stay the same. We're going to have a beginner, we're going to have an intermediate, advanced, expert, and grandmaster. It's up to you to decide the level of difficulty that you want to create. And once you finish one of your maps, if you want to create another map, you are more than welcome to do so. Last year we did it where you could have one in every single difficulty, so you could have up to 5 maps. That is going to carry over as well. A couple things to also keep in mind though. one of the final challenges in each lobby was the heart side. The heart side was essentially just a giant map containing little bits and pieces of every single person's map. We're going to do that very differently this time, though. A lot of community feedback have kind of steered us in a different direction. Heart sides are still going to be a thing, but instead of a bunch, actually a few giant rooms, we're going to do a bunch of smaller rooms more dedicated to each person's map. So one of the prerequisites as a mapper, if you are going to have a map in the collab, you need to make your own heart side, which is going to consist of pretty much one room of gameplay for every map that you do. All right, the art team. The art team is really important. So as you can see here, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is not available in vanilla Celeste. Like, you've never just turned on Celeste and saw a nice little picnic blanket with a delicious strawberry cake or whatever that is. It looks delicious either way. And that giant strawberry over there just begging to be devoured. You won't find any of that stuff. And that's because we had someone make that. And we are looking for a ton of that. If you remember in the 2020 Spring Collab, we had a ton of custom assets in that regard, and we're going to need a ton of that. So we're looking, obviously, for pixel artists. Anyone who is interested in doing that, that is kind of what that job entails. There's going to be a small amount of graphical design, but I mean, we're talking like a 99.9% pixel art, 0.1 graphic design. So just pixel artists, we are looking for you. All right, let's talk a second about the coding team. If you played the 2020 Spring Collab, you know there was a ton of custom assets, custom mechanics, new menus, just new ways of doing pretty much everything, and that was all thanks to the hard work of the coding team. We are looking for some people who can essentially take all the good stuff that we did and just step it up. We're going to be looking for new custom mechanics, new custom assets as those requests come in. A lot of that runs on C#, though it's not required that you know C#. That's definitely a huge plus, but like basic programming knowledge is really heavily encouraged here. That also being said, we do have some coders on the team that are really knowledgeable, really friendly, and definitely able to help out. All right, so the Deco team. In the 2020 Spring Collab, every single map, and you can go and look at every single one of them, they looked like they belong in a vanilla Celeste map. The attention to detail that our Deco team put into those maps was just insane. Super high attention to detail, and we are looking for people who essentially want to do that, who are able to do that, and we want to make this look as good as possible. So if you were applying for the Deco team, you have to have just like a really good attention to detail, and you want to be the driving force to making this look just absolutely gorgeous. That's all I really have to say about that. Like, play Spring Collab and just look at some of the level designs and look at how they look. That's what we're going for, and we're going for better. All right, let's talk about the playtest team. A lot of people think that you have to be really, really, really good at the game to be a playtester, and that's just not the case. In fact, we're looking for people who are new to the game, who are a beginner level of difficulty, and just people who are, I'm going to go get 9D gold, which you're not going to do because 90 gold is not ever going to be a thing. So one of the things I think we did really well last year was just have a more diverse playtesting team. We had a bunch of people kind of in the middle, able to do most of the stuff, in the middle. So your intermediate stuff, obviously all the beginner stuff, in advanced. A couple people could get into the expert stuff, but as we got to like either the early beginner or the late grandmaster, we found that we didn't have as many people involved in that for various reasons. And I like the idea of having someone like totally new to the game be a playtester in this, because we want to make this, feel like beginner gameplay, and we want to make sure that we stay true to the level of difficulty that we set out for. On the other end of the spectrum, we also want to make sure that for those of you who are looking just for the biggest challenge, that we can provide that. And that's why we need some people who are just insanely good at the game, to make sure that, one, it's still fair, it's still fun, but two, it is going to be the biggest challenge that the game will provide. So really the main thing that we're looking for are just detail-oriented people who want to make this game the best that it possibly can be. That's it. What we don't want is someone who just joins to like get their hands on the game early. That's just not going to fly. Like, you genuinely have to have an interest in making this the best that it can possibly be. And you have to understand that the playtesting team is the team that makes sure that the game comes out polished and like vanilla. All right, last but definitely not least is our music team. The 2020 Spring Collab brought together some great musicians, created an amazing soundtrack available on pretty much every streaming service available. As of today, that soundtrack has over 50,000 plays on all of those streaming services, which is really, really awesome. It's great to see. The album was for sale. It raised a ton of money for a charity, and we're looking to do the same thing this year. So we are looking for musicians to get together and essentially design the soundtrack of this game. It's going to be a giant task. I realize that. And I'm hoping to get a bunch more musicians. That's why we're taking the musician applications before anything else, because we are looking for a lot of people. So if you have friends or people that you know who might be interested, it's going to be a giant undertaking. But at the end of the day, it is going to be, I mean, it's going to be what like pulls all of this together. Awesome music with awesome gameplay, beautiful visuals. It's going to make a really, really great mod. All right, so before we wrap this up, I want to land one more major expectation to the musician team, and that is around the album. As of today, we've raised over $500 from sales and from royalties on streaming. And I really want to make sure that everyone knows that this time around is going to be no different. So we can see here, this is just an example of kind of what we had. We had so much music that we had to separate it into 2 full-length albums. And we can see we have the name of the song plus the musician name. We want to make sure that all the musicians who participate get, ample credit for all the work that they do. And obviously, we really appreciate the work that they put in for this, because it turned into something really awesome. I have not heard one negative thing about the soundtrack. I still have people telling me today, like, I play this thing all the time. I fall asleep to this. Like, it's really an awesome thing to hear. So we want to make sure that our musician team knows kind of what the expectation is. Like, we are making high quality audio that is going to be like, this is going to be a thing. It's going to be Strawberry Jam Collab, Volume A, Volume B. I'd love to see enough music to create a Volume C, a Volume D. Obviously, this time around, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to make sure that any proceeds, profits that come in are going to go to a charity. And we just kind of want to keep that there. It's for a good cause, and it's awesome music. All right, that is all we have for today. At this time, I want you to go in the description of the video. There you will find a couple linked documents. You got to go through and read the specifics. There's some rules. There are just a lot of things that you got to know that I didn't want to make a 40-minute video going over that, so I'll let you go over that yourself, as well as links to all of the applications. So you pick the position that you would like, or multiple positions. It's up to you. And in the coming weeks, we will be reaching out to you and kind of get you integrated into the system. And I'm really excited for this. The Spring Collab had its challenges. We learned a lot from those challenges. We learned a lot from mistakes. We learned a lot from just doing it. And I'm really excited to see what we can come together and make now that the modding scene, I feel like, has grown a ton. So that is all we have. Obviously, keep it here on this channel. Anytime we have new updates, you will see it here first. And that's it. Till next time. Have a great night.